over the span of a decade. A lot of people are very short-term sighted, but as long as you're innovating, adapting, reinvesting, I think if you do it intelligently.
Imagine like you're on 9 years, still no one gives a shit about your channel, and you're like, one more year, here we go, one more year, here we go.
Here's something that'll mess with your head. The guy who used to scream at video games in his bedroom. The guy the internet laughed at for being past it. The guy everyone said was just salty and washed up. That guy was the only one who actually told the truth about where YouTube was going, and nobody listened, because he wasn't wearing a suit, because he wasn't standing in front of a warehouse, because he was just some dude on a chair talking directly into a camera like a normal human being. And apparently, on modern YouTube, that's not enough credibility to be taken seriously anymore. That person was PewDiePie, and what he said years ago about this platform wasn't bitterness. It was a blueprint for exactly what came next, long before the $5 million production budgets, long before creators needed entire legal teams just to post a video, long before content became an industry with warehouses and supply chains and HR departments. PewDiePie said YouTube was losing its soul. He said the algorithm was eating the platform alive. He said corporations would eventually replace creators, and people laughed. They called him out of touch, a dinosaur complaining that evolution happened. But here's the thing about being laughed at for a prediction. At some point, the future shows up. And when it does, suddenly nobody's laughing anymore. Because the same platform PewDiePie warned us about, it didn't just change, it produced MrBeast. And that's where this gets genuinely uncomfortable. MrBeast didn't just succeed on modern YouTube, he became the final, fully evolved form of it. The end boss, the logical conclusion of every algorithmic trend stacked on top of each other until you get something that barely resembles what YouTube used to be. To understand why that matters, you need to go back. 2019, the most iconic storyline YouTube has ever had, PewDiePie versus T-Series. And if you were there, you remember what it felt like. This wasn't just a subscriber race, it felt like a referendum, like a vote on what YouTube was supposed to be. One side, a single guy with a camera, a gaming chair, and more charisma than sense. The other side, a corporation with infinite resources and zero personality, uploading content with the same warmth and charm as a vending machine restocking itself. And right there in the middle of it, screaming louder than anyone, was a younger creator named Jimmy, MrBeast. He ran ads, he bought billboards, he stood in freezing streets with a megaphone shouting, "Subscribe to PewDiePie," like his life depended on it. And at the time, it genuinely felt like he meant it, like he was fighting for something real, for creators, for personality, for YouTube staying human instead of becoming another corporate content machine.
Over a span of a decade, a lot of people are very short-term sighted, but as long as you're innovating, adapting, reinvesting, I think if you do it intelligently.
Imagine like you're on 9 years, still no one gives a shit about your channel, and you're like, one more year, here we go, one more year, here we go.
But MrBeast told me I gotta innovate and I gotta be intelligent. Oh, my life has passed before me. I'm gonna die alone.
I'm so close. One more year.
We're so close.
People loved him for it, rightfully so. But here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. In the years that followed, MrBeast didn't just grow into a bigger creator. He quietly, methodically, completely became the exact thing PewDiePie was warning everyone about. Not maliciously, not intentionally, but fully, completely, undeniably. Mass production replaced spontaneity. Teams replaced individuals. Budgets replaced ideas. Modern MrBeast videos aren't filmed. They're engineered. Every frame is A/B tested. Every thumbnail goes through multiple rounds of data analysis before it goes live. Every second of every video is optimized for maximum retention, like it's being assembled on a factory line, not created by a person with something to say. And look, I want to be precise here, because this is where people always misread the argument. That doesn't automatically make it bad content, but it does make it a completely different thing, not just in scale, in kind. PewDiePie's era of YouTube was chaotic, sometimes messy, sometimes pointless. Sometimes he'd spend 15 minutes reacting to a meme that didn't even make sense and end the video having said nothing of consequence, and millions of people still watched because it felt real, because somewhere on the other side of that camera was a human being having a genuine reaction to something. And that connection, that messy, unpolished, unoptimized connection, was the entire point. Now compare that to a modern MrBeast upload. Professional lighting, warehouses instead of bedrooms, crews of 50 people, millions millions of dollars spent before a single frame is captured. It's impressive, it's visually spectacular, but it feels closer to television than YouTube. And I don't mean that as a compliment, I mean it as a diagnosis. Because somewhere along the line, YouTube stopped rewarding personality. It started rewarding scale, and once that happened, the algorithm didn't just change the game, it changed the players. PewDiePie said this openly. He said the algorithm was turning creators into factories. Whoever could spend the most would dominate. Whoever could optimize the hardest would survive. And the rest, the bedroom creators, the weird niche channels, the people making content because they had something to say, rather than because they had a team of data analysts telling them what to say, those people would get quietly filtered out. MrBeast didn't break YouTube. He perfected the system that broke it, and that distinction matters. While MrBeast doubled down on scale, PewDiePie slowly did the opposite. He stopped chasing numbers, stopped trying to decode the algorithm, stopped turning every moment of his life into content. He chose a quieter life, less output, more control, a smaller audience that was actually his, not an audience the algorithm handed him because he optimized correctly. Meanwhile, MrBeast built an empire, not just a channel, a company, employees, warehouses, lawyers, Feastables, Beastburger, game shows with production budgets that make Netflix nervous. And look, from a pure business perspective, it's genuinely extraordinary. The man built something nobody has built before. But when you scale that hard, something always gets left behind, because when everything is optimized, nothing is personal anymore. And when nothing is personal anymore, the cracks start to appear, and they always appear in the same place, when the empire starts selling things. Which brings us to Lunchly. On paper, it sounded completely harmless, a kid-friendly lunch product, 3 of YouTube's biggest names, MrBeast, KSI, Logan Paul, putting their faces on something parents would buy for their kids' lunchboxes.
It uses real cheese. Theirs, as it says on their box, is mozzarella pasteurized prepared cheese product. They can't even call it real cheese.
Clean, simple, wholesome. Then people actually opened the boxes. Reports started coming in. Mold, spoiled food, quality control that looked like nobody had actually quality controlled anything.
I like my cheese moldy, bruh.
It's so... Oh, it's so much mold. This is terrible. Oh my god.
And suddenly, for the first time in a very long time, creators at that level weren't being celebrated, they were being questioned, loudly. Creators like Dan TDM and Jacksepticeye, people who built their entire careers on being decent human beings on camera, didn't stay quiet. They called it out directly. They said what a lot of people were thinking, that selling low-quality food to children, under the cover of creator credibility, was a problem.
Dan TDM replied. This is what he had to say.
What happened to YouTubers, man? I can't not say anything anymore. This is selling stuff for the sake of making money. Simple. How does this benefit their fans? This is selling crap to kids who don't know better than to trust the people who are selling it to them. Do better. Do better!
That profit had replaced responsibility, that the audience, specifically the young, trusting, genuinely vulnerable part of the audience, deserved better. And the response to that criticism is where things got really revealing, because old YouTube had a template for moments like this. You mess up, you own it, you fix it. PewDiePie did it imperfectly a dozen times over the years. Awkward apologies, sometimes joking when he probably shouldn't have been, but always talking directly to the audience like they were people he actually owed something to. What happened with Lunchly felt completely different. The response felt like damage control with a content strategy attached. Defensive, dismissive. At one point the message wasn't, "We got it wrong, and here's how we're fixing it." The message was closer to, "Look how successful we are." And that tells you everything you need to know about what changed. When creators stop seeing viewers as people and start seeing them as consumers, the relationship is over. The transaction might continue, the numbers might keep going up, but the relationship, the actual human thing that made YouTube worth watching in the first place, that's gone.
You can tell none of them are parents. Because you should not feed your kids that garbage. Like, what the fuck? Like, that meal is so tiny, it looks like it's enough for Björn maybe, and he's 1.5 years. Like, no, who's it for? I don't get it. Is it a snack? Is it a meal? Very confused by it.
And then there's the children and marketing issue, which is its own category of uncomfortable. There's a difference between being a creator who happens to be a parent and systematically using your child as a promotional asset.
And of course, we have our snacks and our energy drink, none other than the greatest meals in the world. Lunchly, of course, we have the turkey, cheese, and cracker stack. Also the Fiesta Nachos, my personal favorite.
Love.
Once you cross that line, there's no off switch. Every milestone becomes an opportunity. Every private moment gets filtered through whether it'll perform. PewDiePie warned about exactly this. When YouTube turns everything into content, even your kids become IP. And that's where the MrBeast empire stops feeling like YouTube and starts feeling like a corporation wearing a creator's face.
Maybe I should.
Show her to the world,
Maybe she's here. Here's our baby. Brand new to the world. Here we go. Lunchly is now in stores.
When your operation requires warehouses, full-time employees, supply chains, lawyers on retainer, and a constant obligation to outperform your last video, you don't get to be a creator anymore. You become a system. And systems don't slow down. Systems don't pause to ask whether something feels off. Systems don't have doubts at 2 a.m. Systems optimize. And the psychological cost of that, the thing that never gets discussed, is that when your entire identity is fused to a brand, criticism doesn't feel like feedback. It feels like an attack on your existence. This is why newer YouTube culture reacts to pushback the way it does. It's not ego, exactly. It's that the person and the product have become the same thing, and any challenge to the product is registered as a threat to the person.
It's because people just hate us.
That's it. People just hate us. And I've come to realize now in my adult life that hate really is just a feeling of one's own inadequacy. You're dissatisfied with your life, you're unhappy, you're angry because your wife left you, or you suck. You might as well go hate on a cracker stack.
Old YouTube had room for mistakes because old creators weren't brands yet. PewDiePie could post something terrible, get ratioed into oblivion, say, yeah, that was bad, and move on. The mistake didn't threaten his existence because his existence wasn't a publicly traded asset. New YouTube tries to bury mistakes because admitting them has financial consequences. And this dynamic bleeds into the content itself. Every MrBeast upload has to be bigger than the last one, not because Jimmy wants it that way, but because the algorithm now expects it, the audience expects it, the sponsors expect it, and the team of people whose salaries depend on the channel staying massive expect it. Once you train the machine to expect fireworks, you can't go back to sparklers, not without the whole thing collapsing. That's not creativity, that's a treadmill, a very expensive, very high production value treadmill, and PewDiePie, years ago, looked at that treadmill and said, no thank you. While everybody else chased growth, he chose stability. While the platform demanded constant escalation, he said, I'm good, and actually meant it. That decision gets smarter every year, because YouTube right now doesn't feel like a playground anymore. It feels like a factory floor. And the most disturbing part of that isn't the factory itself. It's that new creators entering the platform today don't realize anything is missing. They've never experienced anything else. They think this is what YouTube is. They think it's always been high budget, hyper optimized, brand first. They think personality was always supposed to be secondary to production value. They don't know what they don't know. And that's exactly why PewDiePie's warning matters more now than it ever did when he originally said it, because he wasn't saying growth is bad. He was saying unchecked growth destroys the thing that made growth possible in the first place. Here's the part of this story that nobody likes to say out loud. PewDiePie lost YouTube. He genuinely did. He stepped back, the algorithm moved on, new creators took the throne, and the numbers don't lie. He's not the king of the platform anymore. Hasn't been for years. But here's the other part. He might be the only one who actually escaped it. He walked away with his sanity, his family, his sense of self. No obligation to outperform last week's video. No sponsors threatening to pull out if his next upload underperforms. No algorithm dictating whether he's allowed to feel good about himself today. He is, by every measure that doesn't show up in analytics, completely free. Meanwhile, MrBeast can't slow down, even if he wanted to. There are real people whose real jobs depend on him never slowing down. That's not freedom. That's an obligation, wearing the costume of success. And the Lunchly situation didn't just expose expose a bad product. It exposed the weight of that obligation. Because when you've built something at that scale, a crack in one place becomes a structural concern everywhere. The illusion that everything connected to the empire is untouchable. Once that cracks, it doesn't repair cleanly. PewDiePie never built an empire like that, which means he never had to defend one. And because of that, he never lost the one thing that actually mattered: the audience's trust that they were watching a real person and not a content delivery system. Because audiences can feel the difference. Not always immediately, not always consciously, but eventually, you can feel when something stops being real, and once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. That's why the criticism keeps getting louder. Not because people hate success, because people can feel when the human left the building. MrBeast didn't become a villain, he became a corporation, and PewDiePie didn't become irrelevant. He became irrelevant to a system he never wanted to be relevant to, which, depending on how you look at it, is the best possible outcome. That's why the old warnings land differently now. Not because PewDiePie was jealous, not because he was bitter, not because he couldn't handle being passed by, but because he actually saw where the road goes. A platform where only massive operations survive, where creativity gets processed through spreadsheets, where the authentic thing, the real thing, the human thing, it loses. Every time, because it can't compete with a $50 million production budget. And the worst part, most creators walking into YouTube today don't even see the machine. They just see the opportunity. They step right into it, start optimizing, and 3 years later wonder why it doesn't feel like they thought it would. PewDiePie was right, not because MrBeast failed, he didn't, but because YouTube became something, and the thing it became proved every word of the warning true. Now everyone on this platform has a choice to make. Creator or corporation, person or product, human or system. Choose carefully, because once you build the machine starts running you.
No one ever believes anything I say. So, I mean, because they're like, you're a billionaire. I'm like, that's net worth. I have negative money right now. I'm borrowing money. That's how little money I have. Technically, everyone watching this video has more money than me in their bank account if you subtract the equity value of my company, which doesn't buy me McDonald's in the morning or whatever.